Tim, as much as I am known to say controversial things without fear, I am not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on the appropriateness of gentrification to the Black community. But I will say,
it's going to be controversial, and then I'll get yelled at for bringing it up because I can defend it both ways, right? But go ahead.
No, but I will say, like, just my personal experience. I'll speak on when I got my, I pulled my head out of my ass at 31. I was a career fuck up for a long, long time in my life, and I turned it around by doing a lot of things that we're talking about. I wasn't selling drugs. I was already out of the military. I was just, a dumb alcoholic with bad habits, and I had good, human being friends, but not they had no ambition. And I was just getting ready to dwindle the drain here at any day. And I started turning my life around. And then as I started buying real estate, just like you said, I'm like, hey, look, it's 2014. There's properties on the market for $30,000, and we can go buy some of these, and they're going to go up in value. And so we can either capitalize on this or we can miss out. And I started doing this, and I didn't do as, in retrospect, I was too scared. I didn't do as much as I should, but I did a good chunk, more than most. And I tried to get my friends to come along, of various backgrounds. Hey, this is an opportunity to turn your life around. I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to do this. And I could not drag people along. Many of them, some I could, right? Some, like you, I didn't write a book, but I blogged, we do this show, and we try to get these people to make good decisions. And it's really interesting how difficult it is. And then now those same people, it's a total mind fuck. They're like, oh, you did so good with that real estate. You got so lucky. You did so good with that lucky. You're killing it. This and that. I'm like, I begged you to come do this. And now you're sitting here 10 years later, struggling about money, struggling about these stresses, debt. What are you going to do? And you're still telling me the same thing. I'll get into it one day. Oh, I wish I could do it like you. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea I just don't know how people think. The circumstances in their life must not have been right. I must not have said it to them right. I feel actually sometimes tremendous guilt about, like, I couldn't get some of my really, really good friends who now have financial difficulties. I'm like, dude, you could have had it. You could have solved this. You could have solved this for good. And it's very frustrating.
So what you just proved to me is something that I say often, is that some of the problems that we think that we have that are exclusive tend to be inclusive to everyone, right? The people closest to you, they're just not going to fuck with you when it's time to make progress because they don't see you as a professional. They see me as Timmy. They see as Davey, little Alex. They put that nickname on there, right? And they don't take us seriously until we start winning. And then once we start winning, it's, oh, well, you got lucky. And I always joke with my mother. My mother's my biggest fan. She's probably sold more of my books than anyone. But I'll never forget when my mother called me one day and she's like, wow, I just saw you on the news. And I'm like, that's what validated me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what made me official, right? Like, you've been watching me work my ass off for the last decade. You watch me spend hundreds of thousands of my own money to create opportunities. But seeing me on the news was the icing on the cake, right? And I tease her about this, but sometimes you just got to acknowledge that people aren't going to really fuck with you if they've known you your whole life. Like, you have to step out of your circle and meet perfect strangers. When I met David, we talked. I sent him an email that night, like, hey man, it was nice to meet you. Like, I don't give a fuck if he doesn't respond. He just doesn't respond, right? Like, I'm not gonna lose any sleep. But what if he does respond? Like, well, then that gives me a connection to someone else that can teach or expose me and the people that are in my downline, if you will, to new information that we wouldn't have never gotten. Oftentimes, you just got to open your mouth and you got to throw away some of the preconceived notions, right?
And now, thanks to that, you met me. So you just leveled up, bro. You're in good shape now. Wow. Wow. David,
you don't even know it yet.
Good intro.
You know what? It's funny. It's just one of those things where, I've been on the record I've pissed off everyone. I've pissed off my people. I pissed off Black people. I've had a whole entire leadership team at a real estate company quit because of some comments that I made. I was a part of the leadership team, and the next day everyone quit because they were upset with me. Like, my thing is, I'm just going to stand on what I believe, on logic, right? And I think in today's society, we don't stand on logic anymore. We stand on emotion. And so, if logic is the leader, and principle, is the foundation, then, everything else just falls in line, and you align yourself with people who use logic, and you kind of say, well, the hell with everyone else. And that's kind of where I'm at, right? And I hold people accountable. Like, hold me accountable. If I fuck up, tell me I fucked up. But then give me an opportunity to correct it. Don't just walk around treating me like Twitter, because Twitter is the place of no accountability. It's a place where people just go to tell you you're not shit, and then they wake up the next morning and remind you how much you're not shit, right? But give me an opportunity to at least correct it, right? So,
Well, the thing that the three of us share, and the thing that I'm hearing a lot from you, is, there's this idea, a lot of it, I hope, comes from the military for us. We kind of dogged about the military, about poor, rich people don't join the military, but the military changed my life, for the better, because, I sort of wasn't going anywhere without them. And they really, in 4 years, by the time I got out, I was like, you guys are slowing me down now. And I'm tremendously grateful for that. But what they taught me was, two big things that, I'm not going to do the, kids today, trope, because that's been done since, you mentioned Plato. Socrates had a piece about that. He's like, the kids today, they have no respect. So that trope has been going on for 1800 years. But I will say, the military taught me never to make excuses. And if you make excuses for yourself, whether it's, a racial thing, a socioeconomic thing, parents, like whatever it is, valid or not valid, it's not helpful, because the only person that can really help you is yourself, really, always. And whether that's fair or not, it doesn't matter. The only person who can really help you is yourself. And the other one that it comes right down to the same thing is, radical responsibility. And so those two ideas are really like kissing cousins. Like, I'm the only one that can fix my problems, and I can only do that if I don't make excuses. And so that whole piece you just said, I loved it, because that's sort of what I heard. You're like, hey, I can make people in my community mad because they don't agree with that idea, and they can say that it's some other reason, but the reality is, whatever the reasons for the unfairness that you've been doing this life, legitimate or not, doesn't matter as much as the fact that the only person who's going to fix that unfairness is yourself.